ICoVent, the Indian COVID ventilator. It is the first Indian COVID-specific ventilator which is rapidly manufacturable using locally available parts. All the parts are either locally available or they are made in India. And we believe the ICoVent is a full-featured ICU ventilator that can treat COVID patients. It meets the international, specifically the UK standard specification is put out by the Department of Health, Ministry of Health in UK. It meets that standard, and it also meets the Indian standards. And the Empowered Committee had put out a specification. The Union Government set up an Empowered Committee to put up specifications, and they put out specifications for what is called as the essential features for a COVID ventilator. So it meets the Indian and the UK specifications for a COVID ventilator. Many people are in the race, large institutions, organizations, companies, PSUs, institutions, but most of these are mechanized ambu bags. Now mechanized ambu bags not only do not provide any clinical benefits to the COVID patient in a critical condition, that is ARDS, but also it may harm the patient's lungs. Ventilator-induced injury. The ICoVent is a full-featured COVID ventilator which can be used for treating COVID patients in critical conditions, that is ARDS. It also meets the national and the international, actually the international and the UK specifications. It also meets the Union Government Empowered Committee's essential features of a COVID ventilator in India. There are many developers developing a ventilator. It's a race against time, and we believe we have won that race. Now, most of these developers are developing prototypes, and they have some plumbing and they call it a ventilator. Some of them have mechanized ambu bags with some electronics and they call it a ventilator. But a COVID ventilator is a very specialized machine. Now, a mechanized ambu bag cannot be used for treating COVID patients in critical conditions. Not only it cannot be used, but when used on a COVID patient in an ICU, it can potentially harm the patient's lungs, ventilator-induced lung injury, and it will greatly risk the doctor and the nurses because it puts out a mechanized ambu bag using a face mask, puts out a lot of viral load from the patient lung into the ICU, ambient air in the ICU, causing great risk to the nurses and doctors. There's a lot of research on that, how big is coronavirus and whether N95 masks are sufficient. But the fact is, many doctors and nurses have succumbed to coronavirus, especially doctors working in COVID-19 patients. An ICU COVID ventilator is a very sophisticated machine. It should not only make the patient breathe, but it should be able to oxygenate the patient's blood. That's the difference between simply pushing in and pushing out air into the lungs and oxygenating the blood. And that's the critical function a COVID ventilator should do beyond pushing and pushing out air into the lungs. A COVID ventilator should be able to oxygenate the blood, taking into account the medical condition of the patients and the conditions of the patient's lungs, the lung compliance, the elasticity of the lung, and then precisely be able to put in the right combination of the exact pressures and the volumes and the timing. And this is very, very critical. Doctors should be able to precisely design each breath waveform. That is, the ventilator should have the ability to craft out or carve out each breath waveforms precisely. The pressure, the volume and the flow waveforms along with the timing is very, very critical. So why is this? I'll take a minute to explain. That is because the disease itself, like pneumonia, it infects the lungs, a portion of the lungs. But COVID, the coronavirus infects both the lungs, the entire lungs. Take a minute to explain the structure of the lungs. We have the trachea splitting into two bronchi, and then it splits and splits and splits 23 times and ends up in a small grape-like, tiny grape-like alveoli. And there are 600 billion alveoli. Each alveoli is a sac, and that's the one that oxygenates the blood. And in a normal patient, the air goes to the trachea into all the branches of the bronchi and then goes into the alveolar, and the alveolar is where the transfer happens. Now in an infected patient, whether it's pneumonia or in coronavirus, this alveolar gets inflamed. Not this, all the 600 million alveolar gets inflamed. And when it's inflamed, it oozes out fluid, the alveolar fluid. So now, in a normal patient, I can breathe at normal pressure. But in an alveolar patient, the air, the oxygen from the air has to penetrate not only the alveolar barriers into the blood vessels, but also has to penetrate the alveolar fluid. So to penetrate the alveolar fluid, you need a pressure. But if you put too much pressure, the alveolar can get fractured or it can get further inflamed, damaging the lung itself, causing a lung injury. So that is why the precise pressure is very much required for the ventilator. The ventilator should be able to control the precise pressure and the volume. Now, the patient lung compliance and elasticity has to be taken into consideration, and the critical intensivist or the pulmonologist knows it, and they know how to do it. They should have all the tools to be able to set those parameters. And when you say pressure, pressure is not a single thing. There are multiple pressures. That is, typically what happens is, they will specify the peak input pressure. When you push the air in, what should the maximum peak pressure be? Then after that, it drops slowly, and then you hold the breath long enough for the oxygen to oxygenate the blood. So that's called the plateau pressure. And then end expirate, then it falls down. When you are exhaling, it falls down. Even when you exhale, normally we exhale to atmosphere which is neutral or zero pressure. But for COVID patients, they have to exhale at peak and end expiratory pressure. It's called the peak. So all these three pressures and the shape of the waveform is very, very critical. And that is what ICoVent can do, and what most of the other mechanized ambu bags cannot do that. So doctors cannot use it. They can use it in an ambulance, but definitely ambu bags can be used in ambulance or in transport, but not in an ICU ventilator. And the shortage is going to be in the ICUs. If the cases increase, and that's what we are bracing for. Today there is no shortage of ICU ventilators in India because luckily all our government's policies have been good. The lockdown has been good, but nevertheless, if the cases cross beyond a particular limit, then there will be a shortage of ventilators. Ventilator development requires multidisciplinary skills. It's not a mechanical item, it's not a pneumatic, it's not a hydraulic, it's not electronics, it's not software, it's not purely engineering, it's definitely not purely medicine. It's a combination of all the sciences. Now we are lucky enough to have a team with specialists from every area of engineering and medicine, and the entire team worked to put this together, the ICoVent. We have pneumatics, we have hydraulics, we have electronics, analog electronics, digital electronics, we have low-level programming, firmware, we have software and high-level programming, we have GUIs, we have algorithms, and of course, a significant of medical knowledge inputs. Some of us have a little bit because some of us are biomedical engineers. I'm a trained biomedical engineer with various patents. But also in our team is a peer review group which is constantly monitoring the development of the ventilator. They are spread across 2 or 3 countries. Developing a ventilator requires multidisciplinary skills and experiences. Because a ventilator is not a mechanical item, it's not an electronic item, it's not a software. It involves hydraulics, pneumatics, mechanical, electrical, software, and in software you have low-level programming and high-level programming, and in electronics you have analog as well as digital, knowledge of flow controllers. In the mechanical, not only pneumatics and hydraulics, we had special challenges because of lockdown. So many parts were not available, so we had to make the parts ourselves. So we had the ability, we had to work with glass tubes, we had to work with rubber, silicone rubber gaskets, we had to work with bellows, so we had to make our own bellows. We have a team which has multidisciplinary skills to overcome all these barriers. Not only the team of engineers and technicians here in Hyderabad, but we had an international team which was peer-reviewing us, and through Zoom calls almost every alternate day, we are reviewing this development of this project. The peer review team was based across the globe, from Houston to Switzerland to Bangalore to Chennai, CMC, Vellore, and of course the doctors in Apollo and other doctors who are friends of mine. So this was the peer review team we were interacting with throughout the development process. And so finally we have a ventilator which is already reviewed, which was being reviewed as it was being developed, and also it's finally as well being developed, and it's a fully completed project as you can see. The ICoVent ventilator design is an innovation. It is not a copy of something else that's already existing. It is an innovation and the patent has been applied for this particular design. Since ICoVent is our own innovation, we made sure the design is very modular. And we made sure it can be manufactured everywhere in India with locally available parts. And we have 3 versions of these ventilators. One is a highly sophisticated one like the one here you are to see, which has touch controls and all the additional features. Then you have very basic one, which can be manufactured in a 2-tier city in India or any developing world. One can manufacture this particular ventilator design. The sophisticated ventilator to the most basic one. And we did plan to price it around 45,000 rupees for the lowest end ventilator. To the mid end it's about 90,000, and to the high end ventilator like this, it is 1.4 lakh is what we envisage that will price. Now, the low end ventilators will consist of, instead of touch screens, it consists of, and knobs, it consists of mechanical settings, and instead of highly sophisticated pressure sensors you see there, you will use, you can use manual manometric settings. So you can do manometric settings to high-end sensors, but not so high-end that they are not available. They are available all over India. Now, while there are 3 models of ICoVent, the lower end with manual manometric settings to higher end with electronics and touch control and knob settings, the precision of the most expensive and the cheapest is identical. It is the features that are more and the controls that are more, but the precision of the ventilator itself is based on a PAP, a patent what the precision air pump, that is what we applied for. Now, the manual manometric one will probably have exactly the same precision as our higher end sophisticated ventilator. Once again, I'll show you the settings on this ventilator. Let's focus on the touch control screen here. This is the peak input pressure. This is the peak pressure, and the tidal volume is set at 350, and the I ratio at 1:4. And of course, you can see the waveforms. So it is a low-cost ventilator, which actually looks like a high-cost ventilator, and that is the ICoVent. And it's a solution not only for India or Telangana, but it's a solution for the whole world. And 2 companies have shown interest in this. One is DC Technologies, and one more defense company in Hyderabad have shown interest. But many more are in the pipeline. The team has been working day and night for last 3.5 weeks. We are also keeping track of multiple things, specializations, government policies and things like that. We are also keeping track of other developments. We believe we are the first in India. We also believe we are the first in the world to have a complete. We are not very sure because our knowledge is only Google and Internet. From whatever we see in Google, YouTube and Internet, we have not seen anyone who's completed that project. They only seen some parts lying around and a conceptual design. We have a first full working prototype which is tested and validated by appropriate test equipment and a few doctors as well. So I think we are not only first in India, we believe we could be the first in the world to launch this product now. Ventilator is going to go in for validation in a day or 2 to the hospitals, where it's going to be evaluated by the healthcare professional in a healthcare environment. This ventilator can run on, the current model is running on a compressor and a battery, but it can run off wall outlets in the hospital, it can run off a cylinder, and there are multiple modes. It can also run off a turbine. So there are multiple modes of powering it. As I explained, it is modular. We also believe it is very, very reliable, but that is yet to be tested because it is going to be tested in the in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Is the reliability that's going to be tested. But I think all the parameters are already validated and tested, and not just by us, by an objective device and gadget, equipment used for testing, validating, calibrating and certifying ventilator. It's a highly specialized equipment manufactured in Germany, and I think that is the one which tests and validates. It's not our word or somebody's word. So we have that machine, we have access to the machine. So this ventilator is already tested and validated and calibrated on a ventilator calibrating equipment. And that is something that most of the developers do not have, which have already done. But I think the real credit goes to the team in Hyderabad. As well, I should definitely thank the peer review team which is spread across the world. Sanjay Reddy, Deep Sea Technologies, a lot of experience in pneumatics and hydraulics in Houston. Professor Biksham in Switzerland. He knows a lot of international guidelines and interacting with them and giving us advice. Then Anand, A.S. Anand, my classmate in engineering from Gideon Engineering College and University of Madras, and Arcot, another friend from Chennai. And most importantly, Dr. Suresh Devasayan. He is a professor in CNC Vellore Biomedical Department, but he was also my classmate again in University of Madras. He is a postdoctoral fellow, was a professor, assistant professor, I think in IIT Mumbai, Powai Biomedical Department. So we have, and of course, the pulmonologist, the intensive care specialist in Apollo hospitals. We've been working very closely with Apollo hospitals, and their standards are very, very high. And doctors in many other hospitals in Hyderabad, we've been working, and in Bombay and Delhi, Chennai. So we've been interacting with the doctors, the actual users, and 1 or 2 nurses and biomedical technicians in Apollo. And so that's what I believe got us to where we are here today. The ICoVent, the Indian COVID ventilator. But last but not the least, I have to thank the Telangana police. They've been extremely cooperative. In fact, when we explained the problem that we needed this ventilator part, they also told us, the shopkeeper, they told us how to get permission. We got the permission to get those valves and solenoids and various components, some electronic components. We could actually open those, with the police help and permission, we could open the stores during the lockup time and help them open. Last but not the least, the union government who has interacted with us, and especially the DIPP and the Empowered Committee, which actually came up with this essential features of a COVID ventilator, that document. So it set the goal and target for us. One is the British target, the second is the Indian target. This meets both the targets. The ICoVent, the Indian COVID ventilator. The ICoVent, the Indian COVID ventilator, was designed, fabricated, prototype tested and manufactured by the team at Citadel Research and Solutions and Stefan Design and Engineering, both Hyderabad-based companies. Of course, we have a lot of help from various doctors from Apollo hospitals and doctors from across the country and the world, and peer review teams in Houston, Switzerland, Bangalore, Chennai and CMC Vellore.